carrying through to the very last session of the meeting. So this is rare, native, and imperiled species, and we're going to kick things off in this last session with Carl St. John talking about summer suckers.
Okay, so I'm skiing tomorrow. I'm like a little kitty. You know why. So I'll be talking about summer suckers, like Pete said. Should they exist, they're New York's only endemic species, freshwater fish. The reason why we're talking about this now is because the summer sucker was resurrected as a species in 2009 by Morse and Daniels, based on a number of morphological characteristics. Like I said, big sexy title, it's New York's only endemic freshwater fish. Let's get, and this raises some management implications for New York DEC, is the central question that I'll be working with. So, is the summer sucker distinct from the white sucker? Yes, it was resurrected, but it's got a very complicated history of study, and we want to be really sure that it is in fact separate before we take some drastic management measures. But if it is distinct from the summer sucker, we need to know where it occurs to establish its level of conservation. First of all, let's talk about suckers. They're a really cool morphologically diverse group and ecologically diverse, as you can see here. I think they don't deserve the name sucker, and a lot of people agreed with me because they're named things like the Chinese high-fin-banded shark, the black buffalo, and the red horses. So quite a cool group. And if anyone's interested in red horses, there's kind of a cult following. You can check them out on boxestoma.com, an entertaining site. Today we'll be talking about white suckers, and within white suckers, summer suckers, located in this crown group, Catostomus, fairly diverse within the wider family of Catostomidae. White suckers, they're extremely common. They're, some people don't think they're as sexy of a fish as bowfin or sturgeon or something like that, but they're pretty significant in that they range all the way from New Mexico up to the Northwest Territories. That's, the only thing as widely distributed as that I can think of off the top of my head is mountain lions. So it's pretty significant. Also, they range all the way to Labrador. So incredibly widely distributed. The summer sucker, on the other hand, is found only in the Adirondacks, which is why I'm talking about this here. It was first discovered by Fred Mather in 1885. Fred Mather is kind of one of those good old 19th century father of ichthyologists. Author of such works as Men I've Fished With. And perhaps while fishing with one of those men, he found a very small summer sucker in Minnow Pond. That's near Blue Mountain Lake. If you're new to the Adirondacks like me, we're here in Placid. Blue Mountain Lake is south of us. Mather, in his infinite wisdom, decided that the summer sucker is certainly distinct from the white sucker. He decided this based on their small size of maturity. So, for those of us familiar with summer suckers, they spawn around 12 to 14 inches. But the smallest, and the summer sucker, we've found sexually mature individuals at about 5 inches or even smaller. So fairly significant. Certainly might agree with Mather in calling them a new species because of that. Additionally, the summer sucker spawns 2 weeks later than the white sucker. White suckers spawn last 2 weeks of May. Summer suckers spawn in June and is significant because it would imply some kind of reproductive barrier between the two putative species. This is supported by Kendall and Dentz. They describe summer sucker populations in habitats like Dead Creek Flow, kind of marshy habitats. They describe these really massive spawning aggregations of small suckers that they turn summer suckers to. Then Morse and Daniels, most recent description in 2009, in addition to differentiating them by small size of spawning and this spawning time difference, they also used a number of morphological techniques, sort of outlined in the room over there this morning, and found that they differed primarily in body width, eye diameter, and snout length. And these are fairly ecologically important characters that would imply that there is some ecological ground as well for summer suckers to be different. They also found interorbital width to be a significant predictor of differences in summer, or diagnostic of summer suckers. There are a few flaws with Morse and Daniels' description. Mainly, their spawning time information came from one tributary in the Moose River drainage. It's really hard to extrapolate one population to the entire Adirondacks. Additionally, turns out when you put a summer sucker in a high productivity lake, they get pretty big. And the morphological diagnostics that Morse and Daniels used initially kind of break down. So there's a bit of mystery still left to be deciphered. There have been a couple papers, between its original description and the Morse and Daniels description that have called into question whether the summer sucker is a distinct species. And they mainly revolve around the spawning time argument, where you might expect suckers to different spawning time just because of temperature differences in different lakes. Summer sucker is generally found in high altitude lakes or headwater lakes. They stay colder longer, suckers spawn later. Kind of a straightforward argument. So this prompted some genetic investigations of the summer sucker. First by Von Hekela at Fordham. She looked at mitochondrial data and looked for groupings of summer sucker and groupings of white sucker. What she found, she did not separate summer suckers and white suckers. She did separate white suckers on an east-west climb here with some overlap in the middle. We don't know if this separation reflects the summer sucker and white sucker. We just know that it's fairly predictable whether you might find one haplotype here or one haplotype in the east. Interestingly, Morse's morphological characteristics, when applied to Vaughn's east and west populations, are actually able to separate them slightly. So, could be a summer sucker, could be not. Hard to tell. This was followed by Nicholas Liu and Nina Thurgoldson's study using low coverage whole genome sequencing. These are as the technique says, they sequence the whole genome so they can find even the tiniest differences between populations. So this is kind of the best bet that they had to differentiate summer suckers and white suckers. Here are their study populations. As you saw, they're all in the west. They didn't want to answer this east-west climb. They just wanted to look at summer suckers and white suckers. And so they plotted them using a few clustering methods. This is a PCA. They're used in morphology, also used in genetics. Basically, we're looking for one group of points clustered here and one group of points clustered elsewhere. And that might tell us that summer suckers group together and white suckers group together. So, that didn't happen. what they found was suckers grouped by lake. So if you're from one lake, you're more closely related to your kin than you are from another lake. They also found that the white suckers grouped centrally and summer suckers grouped on the periphery of this graph, meaning that summer suckers are actually less related to each other than they are to white suckers. This kind of suggests that summer suckers are maybe this weird divergent ecotype rather than separate species. To use another clustering method structure, basically what we're looking for is the color signifies a certain ancestry, proportion of ancestry derived from the genome. So if there were two species, you might see white suckers being grouped together as 100% white sucker, and summer suckers being grouped together as 100% summer sucker. Unfortunately, this data is for sculpins, and this is the data we actually got with dice. We see admixture based on. If this was a likely model, we see admixture, or we just see predictable grouping of summer suckers and white suckers. In fact, the most supported model, like we saw in PCA, assigned each group predominantly to its lake of origin. So we're grouping by lake, not by species, putative species. We did a little fishing trip looking for fixed differences in the genomes of summer suckers and white suckers. Nicholas found just two bases that were fixed between the two, so sort of ripe for future studies, but not appropriate here. So let's get back to the central question of, is the summer sucker distinct from the white sucker? Clearly there's some disagreement, so we're going to table this question, and we're going to focus on whether or not it's a species. So there's sort of two hypotheses here. One being that the summer sucker is Mather's original description. It's a small sucker that spawns late. The other hypothesis might be von Hecla's east or west group. To look at this, we're going to look in two lakes, Lower St. Regis Lake, which is on, or Paul Smith's College is on Lower St. Regis. And then we'll look at Elk Lake. Elk Lake is our best bet at finding a putative summer sucker. We know small suckers spawn late in Elk Lake. Lower St. Regis has both the east and west cline suckers from von Hecla's mitochondrial data co-occurring. So we might be able to answer whether or not this east-west cline could be a summer sucker or white sucker. So our idea is to sample suckers over the course of their spawning season. That would be the spawning season of both white suckers and summer suckers. We'll take genetic samples that are associated with the spawning data the sucker is taken from. We'll take pictures so we can do morphometrics. And then we'll hopefully be able to plot these on a graph that looks something like this, where hopefully we'll find two haplotypes, two genetically distinct groups. We hope that one is spawning early and one is spawning late. Haplotype 1 might correspond to white suckers spawning early, and haplotype 2 correspond to summer suckers spawning late. We might measure wet mass. So if summer suckers truly are small, we might see wet mass decline with spawning time. Finally, we might find a diagnostic morphologic character. We might expect that to also change with spawning time. If if this happens, we can draw a nice clean species boundary right down the middle, and hey, we have New York's first endemic species of fish. What might also happen is that there's no genetic differentiation between fishes, but we do still see this morphological distinction. And that might tell us that summer sucker is actually just an ecotype of white sucker that can occur multiple times given the right conditions. Alternatively, it's certainly possible that we just find a wash, no relationships, and no ability to draw any kind of species boundary. We'll also be measuring ecological characteristics of lakes from the sample again, so we can correlate it to, or we can make some kind of inference as to whether the summer sucker is an ecotype based on characteristics of the lake. And that is it.